Hello and welcome to the Prismatic Attic. I'm Sam and today we're taking the next step in our absolute beginner sewing journey. If you haven't watched it already, my previous video helps you to get to grips with the features of your sewing machine. This video will assume that you have gone through that one and are now feeling more confident in what the different parts of your machine are, how to thread your machine, how to wind the bobbin, ready to start sewing. So your machine is threaded, the bobbin is full, we are ready to start. We aren't going to jump straight into a project today because it's overwhelming to know when there's an expected outcome. And right now we just want to play with the machine and get a feel for what we can do with it. If you struggle with this practice because your machine is doing weird things with a thread, like making bird nests on the underside, pulling in weird ways, skipping stitches or anything else, my first recommendation will always be to unthread everything, rethread the machine again. Replacing the needle with a new one can also help with some of these problems. If you're using an old or a second-hand machine, the whole thing may need a service. I hope this doesn't put you off, but trying to sew with a machine that isn't in good working order is a very quick way to get incredibly frustrated and never pick up the hobby again. And we don't want that. I will make a troubleshooting video soon for those of you who are struggling. We're going to need two small pieces of fabric today, no bigger really than 20 to 30 centimeters, which is 8 to 12 inches for my non-metric friends, because we don't want to be wrangling lots of excess fabric while we practice. The best fabric for this is going to be cotton, like what I'm using, or a polyester cotton blend. This is an old bed sheet. It's clean, of course, and it's perfect for practicing on. Try not to use anything stretchy or slippery today. They behave very differently and I don't want you to become frustrated. I've got my machine threaded with two different colours. I've got black in the bobbin and hot pink for the needle. As I explained in the previous video, this can be really helpful if you have issues you need to troubleshoot, as you can see which side the problem thread is coming from. We're not going to worry about pinning anything for this. We're just practicing lines and it doesn't matter if the two pieces become unaligned. If you've gone for a cotton, it shouldn't slip around too much anyway. So I have my two pieces of fabric together. We're going to make sure that our machine is turned on. There we are. We are sitting comfortably and our foot pedal is easy and comfortable to use. Heel on the floor, toes on the pedal, so that you can easily apply pressure and take it off again. The top thread is threaded and it comes down through the front of the needle to the back, and the bobbin is wound. You should have hooked up the bobbin thread by doing a full turn of your needle, pulling up that loop of thread and loosening it. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's on the previous video. Those threads should have some nice long tails, you can see here, because what happens, the first couple of stitches will pull a little bit in, and if you don't have long enough tails you will unthread the machine and then you will have the frustration of having to thread that all over again. Let's use our stitch selection wheel and pick a mid-length straight stitch. We're going to make sure our pressure foot is up and that our needle is up and out of the way by using our hand wheel to bring that to its top position. We're then going to place our fabric under there and we are ready to go. You don't want to start too close to the edge of the fabric because the needle can push that down into the gap underneath it. So we're going to move in just a little, put our fabric in, bring the pressure foot down using that lever, and we are ready. Okay, we are going to start sewing this line by locking in our stitches so that our sewing doesn't come undone once it's completed. We're going to do that by making a couple of stitches and then reversing and then sewing back over those. So we're just going to overlap our own stitching to lock those in place. Really good practice to get this into your head from the outset. So we're going to sew a line, we're going to go slowly, we're going to take it at whatever pace we need. Doesn't matter how straight it is, believe me. And at the end we're going to use the reverse again to lock in the stitches at the other end. So here we go, we're going to do a couple of stitches forward, light presses on your foot pedal. And then we're going to hold down the lever for reverse, go back over those stitches, and then we're going to let go and let it come forward again. So we've gone back over those stitches a couple of times. Now we're going to put our fingers very lightly on our fabric. We're not pushing or pulling, we're not pulling to the side. We're just gently guiding the fabric and making sure that it's going straight through those feed dogs. Ready? sewing a straight line at a slow speed, gently touching the fabric, letting the feed dogs pull it through, but keeping us aligned. We're going to stop. We're going to hold down the lever to reverse, do a couple of stitches backwards, and then we're going to let go and come forward again. Then we're going to finish by making sure that the needle is out of the fabric, because otherwise when we pull it, we can end up snapping or bending our needle. So we're going to use the hand wheel to bring our needle up to its highest position. We're going to use the lever to raise the foot, and then we're going to gently pull the fabric away from the machine. We're going to give this a snip. You might have a small blade on the side of your machine that you can use to cook the fabric over for a quick cut, but scissors works absolutely fine. And we're just going to finish that off by making sure we've got those nice long tails ready for the next line of stitching. I'm going to just tidy that up by getting rid of my loose ends. This just keeps them out of our way for the next line. And you can see you have done your first line of stitches. So next up, same thing again, needle up, press a foot up, press a foot down. We're going to lock in those stitches at the beginning by going forward and then back a couple and then carrying on straight. So a couple of stitches and then reverse and then forwards. And then we just run alongside the previous line. Stop, we reverse, we come forward, we make sure the needle is out of the fabric, we raise the presser foot, we pull our fabric to the side, and we snip. And there we have another row of stitches. You can see how I've used the different colours on the top and bottom so you can see where any problems arise. So I just want you to repeat that until you feel confident in sewing straight lines. Something else you can do here if you want to have a little bit of fun is you can use this as an opportunity to try out some of the decorative stitches on your machine. So we've got firstly the zigzag stitch, which is a stitch that you use occasionally when you're sewing, not as often as a straight stitch unless you're sewing lots of stretch materials, but this is one that you will use. So let's have a go with the zigzag stitch. I'm going for the medium one. I've set that with my wheel. Fabric is under the presser foot is down, and we're ready to sew. We're going to do a couple of stitches, we're going to reverse, and then we're going to come forward again. Keeping that nice and slow, nice and controlled. We're going to reverse at the end, forward at the end. We're going to make sure the needle is out of the fabric by turning the hand wheel, presser foot up, and fabric out. Snip those tails, keep them long. So you can see here that I've got a nice zigzag line now. So take this opportunity to have a little play with some of the decorative stitches that you've got on your machine. Some of them look like cardiac monitors. So we can have a little play with those. Why not? If you wanted to try those. We're just practicing moving in a straight line and locking in those stitches. I'll show you what this looks like. Needle out. So you can have a little play about with those until you are confident with your line sewing. If you're going to play about with some of the stitches, just avoid the buttonhole stitches. That will be a little selection of 3 different stitches on the wheel that are grouped together. They do something different, so we just stay out of the way of those ones for now. Okay, well now you've got the hang of that. Fantastic, well done. We're going to do something a little bit more different now when we get to the end of our line. So long tails, fabric under the presser foot down, stitch set back to straight stitch. Number 8 on my machine. And here we go. We lock in our stitches. Tail. We're going to sew a little bit of a line, and then we're going to stop. We're going to make sure that our needle is fully in the fabric, so it's going to be down. and we are going to lift up the presser foot using the lever. We're going to turn the fabric, we're going to rotate the fabric, and then we're going to drop that presser foot again. We're going to sew, stop, needle in, foot up, turn the fabric, foot down, sew, needle in, foot up, turn, and then this should bring us back to where we started. And then because we're finishing there, we're going to just lock in those last stitches with a back and forth, lift that out, needle out, fabric out. And then we've created a square. So give that a go. Have a little try with doing some shapes. You can try, you can make some triangles, you could try a weird hexagon. Doesn't matter if you cross over lines that you've already sewn, it's not going to affect it. But have a little go and try some different shapes with your machine. I'm just going to quickly show you here, just to show you that again. We're going to do a triangle. We're going to make sure that our foot is facing the direction that we want to sew. Lock it in, stop here, needle in, turn, down, needle in, up, and then back to the start. There we go. So I've got a couple of shapes there that I've done. Just straight lines. It's not scary. I promise you, you can do it. You've managed straight lines. This is just multiple straight lines that join each other, and we're turning by keeping the needle in the fabric. So let's just pause here and have a look at what we've done. If you can sew a line, you can already create so many things. You are doing awesome. Look at you go. I'm so proud of you already. Okay, next up, we're getting a little bit trickier. We're going to try sewing a curve. Okay, we are going to find ourselves a starting place. We're going to put our fabric in. Remember, you're pointing in the direction that you're going to travel. And we are going to use our hands to gently guide the direction of the fabric. So before, we just very gently put our fingers on the fabric to help guide it through, with the feed dogs pulling it the way we were going anyway. With the curve, we're kind of going against the feed dogs a little bit. So we're just going to help it out by gently turning the fabric, not pulling it all the way around so that it crumples up and folds. We're just very gently leading the fabric in a different direction. We are going to start off as before. We're going to put our pressure foot down. We're going to make sure we've got those nice long tails out the back. We're going to start with a little back and forth action. Now, we are going to go slowly, okay? We're going to feed it through. We're going to hold it. We're going to guide it. You might find that you're putting a little bit more pressure on the left hand just to aid in that turn. So here we go, slowly. Okay. You are going to need to keep adjusting your hands. And every time you do, stop, because otherwise the feed dogs will continue pulling it in a straight line. So if you want to keep going on a curve, you're going to need to stop every time you need to readjust your hands. At the end, be back and forward, just a little bit, needle up, foot up, and fabric out. So you can see we've got a slight curve here. If you're feeling really adventurous, why don't you try a full circle? So you might need a little bit more room for this. We're doing the same thing, but this is a more extreme curve. But I believe in you, and I can promise you it won't be circular. So don't worry about that. It's just about the idea of turning the fabric while the machine is sewing. Remember, every time you need to stop to readjust your hands, you're going to stop with the pedal. So lots of control, lots of thought on your foot as you turn. I don't think I'm gonna have to get a bit tighter there. You can see how I'm rotating the fabric. And then I'm just going to go around until I meet, oh, I did not meet, that's where I started. I'm just going to finish there. I'm going to back and forth needles out, foot's up, and I'm going to snip that. There, you can see I went a little bit wonky at the end. That's absolutely fine. Yours is going to look similar to that. Yours might be much less of a circle. Yours might be much more of a circle. Give that a go, give that a try, give that a practice. If you're running out of room, it doesn't matter if you have to overlap a little bit. If you want to get some more fabric, you can do. But these are just some general practices that you can do to get comfortable and confident using your machine. So let's recap. We are getting into the habit of locking our starting and ending stitches by using the reverse lever. We learn how to sew a line. We learn how to turn corners by rotating our fabric around the needle while it's down. And we also learn how to sew curves. Using those skills, I now have a challenge for you. You might want to take another pair of fabric pieces for this. I would like you to attempt to stitch your name. If it helps, you can use a pen to write your name on the fabric so you can follow the line. If you don't feel confident with the curves yet, and you have round letters in your name, like an S, for example, you can just do those with straight lines instead. Doesn't really matter what the outcome is, you're just practicing your new skills. So we're just giving that a try. So for me, I am going to try curves of an S. Nice straight lines for A, nice straight lines for M. On the A, I've got the option of going up and down, stopping, pulling it out, and then starting again for the line. Or I can go up, down, and then travel back up the same line, or vaguely in the same area, and then go across to do my A. I'm going to do it that way because it's less in and out of the machine. I'm going to make sure I've got long threads. Some nice tails there. Okay, my fabrics are together. And let's go. We're going to place that down at the beginning of the letter, starting with the hardest one for me, the curves. So forward and back, we're locking in. I'm going to go really slowly. It may not look slow to you, but this is as slow as my machine goes. So I'm just directing the fabric. And if I find that I'm completely off, you can see that I'm pretty much 90 degrees off the angle that I need. Instead of trying to pull the whole thing round and creating all these bumps, I'm just going to do that skill where we turn the fabric with the needle in. So just going to turn it a bit more further around to where I want it to be. Okay, and now I'm going back the other way. Completely missed that line. I'm just going to turn the fabric a bit further. And then finishing up here, I'm going to back and forth, lock those in, bringing my needle up, bringing the presser foot up, and snipping the S. Nice long tails to start the A. Going up that line. Much more of a curve than I expected that to be. I'm going to come back down the other side. And then I'm going to turn completely the other way. I'm going to try and follow that line as much as I can. If it's not, I will call it a stylistic choice. We're going to turn and finish that A in the center. Needle out, foot up, and snip. Okay, let's get rid of some of these loose threads. And then lastly, for the M, forward and back, the M, needle in, and last line. And locked in. Okay. Okay, this is a good learning moment. So what you can see here is I didn't actually sew that very last line of my M. What happened here is that my bobbin thread ran out. This isn't a big deal, but we do need to rethread the bobbin before we can carry on sewing. That's something I need to do, so I'm going to do that now, and I will show you the finished piece at the end. I'm just remembering that in my last video, when I showed you how to wind the bobbin, I intentionally didn't fill the bobbin up to save time.
I'm not gonna wind it up the whole way.
So that was entirely my own fault. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just before these stitches finish, because at the moment they are prone to coming undone because they aren't locked in. So I'm just going to go back and forth over those, carry on up my M, and then do that last line. Okay, it's all valuable when it becomes a teaching moment, right? Okay, let's go over those ones to the top of the M. I overdid that a little, but that's fine. And then back down. Okay, so it's not perfect. I am working at speed, and not to make excuses, I am working at a very awkward angle to allow for recording. But there you have my name stitched. I would love for you to show me how yours turns out, your practice runs. But we have now a piece of fabric covered in lines that you stitched. You have learned the fundamentals of how the machine works, and I promise that you can make something with what we have gone over today. I hope this video has been helpful for you and that you are feeling more confident in how to use your machine to do some basic sewing. I'll be back next time with a simple project so that you can put your new skills to use to make an actual thing. In the meantime, keep practicing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I would love to hear how you did. Send me pictures by email, send me pictures on Instagram, and get in touch if you have any questions. Have a wonderful rest of your day.